So beneath all the political movements in this third chapter of the origins of totalitarianism is a discussion that seems hardly settled, especially as today's expanded use of anti-Semitism as an accusation seems as reckless at times as it is pointed. Arendt marks how, over the course of the 19th century, the identity of Jews shifted to a conception of Jewishness and, once suggested, became hugely problematic. The first piece to recognize for Arendt is that a number of Jews worked for assimilation into the higher social classes, but that this assimilation could never be complete. The result were bourgeois European citizens of salons who accepted the Jew to their parties for their own delight and exoticism, so long as he was not too Jewish. This Jewish exception Jew, or Parvenu, to use Arendt's term, thus had a new performance to create. The result was a complex behavior of equivocation, to discover and maintain in shifting spaces this line between being too Jewish and not Jewish enough. More and worse, this made for the bourgeoisie and later others the identity of Judaism, which might have in different eras and spaces been a crime, now a matter of Jewishness, which was more of a vice, something to hide away at all times. And vice, Arendt warns, can only be exterminated. More, the Parvenu, to maintain his role in these social circles, would himself become the enemy of the larger Jewish population, even himself speaking anti-Semitically. Jews turned on themselves, and, in cooperation with the rich, both stereotypes of Jewishness, the peaceful Jew and the greedy Jew, became fodder for Jew and non-Jew alike. These outcast Jews, never Parvenu, were instead pariahs. But both Parvenu and pariah were driven to keep their Jewishness a part only of their private lives. Those who know their history may ask of Benjamin Disraeli, who twice served as Britain's prime minister during this era and was born a Jew. Arendt has little mercy in her portrayal. Disraeli is the ultimate exception Jew in this case, fostering a movement from exception to secularism and later to nationalism. In other words, the best Jews were those who placed the national character of behavior over their religion and identity. As Arendt describes it, to believe in chosenness without believing in him who chooses and rejects. One may be born a Jew, but what one does later with that identity is a matter of political will. Disraeli, too, supported conspiracy theories about Jewish secret societies. Now, to a degree, we all perform for society, so I can imagine few readers who do not understand the social politics Arendt is describing in this chapter. What is far more difficult to comprehend for the non-Jew here is the delicacy and stakes of the social gestures performed. And now, the moment I say that, I take it back. For Arendt herself equates these quasi-masquerades as having parallels in the homosexual communities at the time. More, in later chapters, Arendt's going to align much of this dynamic in terms of race. So I guess what is hard to understand in this chapter is merely difficult for Christian white males of wealth and privilege. More challenging for all is the delicacy of Arendt's moral discussion, the difference, for instance, between crime and vice and the consequences therein. Crimes are choices of behavior. We can choose not to commit them. We can commit them and serve our punishments. We can reform. We can convert in our religion. We can choose to step away from gangs in the underworld. We have agency to make choices about what we do. We can even be forgiven. But vice is something altogether different. It's an inherent flaw. It's innate. It's biology. And we can see where this goes now, yes? By making Jewishness a vice, we can ascribe any behavior or condition to them as naturally part of who they are. They cannot help it, nor can they be cured of it. It's now racism. now anti-Semitism, now a potential tool for political use. And Arendt is suggesting that the price all Jews paid for this elitist, ego-driven, even chauvinist parvenu is that none could unify around a single idea of what being Jewish was, only that all, the Jewish reformer, the Jewish revolutionary, the educated Jew, the impoverished Jew, or the parvenu, all of them must keep it private, a vice worthy of shame. And none, therefore, even the parvenu, could find leverage for a political dialogue which might ever change it. All of this on the broader stage of failing European nation-states and colonial expansion is going to create a signal flare warning in the Dreyfus affair, which Arendt will use to close this section of the book.